Why is Bezos by Burnham so catchy? At the time of writing or recording this, the vast majority of my views and subscribers are coming from a single video, my extended remix of Burnham's Bezos 1 and 2. So everyone who's joined, welcome, I'm so happy to have you and I hope you stick around. I've been wanting to work on, maybe you'd call it narrated content or opinion or analysis, whatever. I've been wanting to do more of that for a while now, but life has a way of, well, getting in the way. So I figured this was as good a place as any to start. Hey guys, I'm Ian, and I'm taking a look at all the reasons I think Bezos by Burnham is so catchy. Because, like my channel says, I can't stop making noise. Reason 1. The first time you hear it, it's completely unexpected. Maybe I'm alone on this one, but I don't think so. But when I first watched Inside, when Bezos started to play, I had absolutely no clue what was going on. I was familiar with a lot of Bo's earlier content, so I thought I basically knew what to expect from the special. I was wrong for a number of reasons, but that's neither here nor there. There are a number of excellent videos that dissect the special as a whole, and I'll try to link a couple in the description if I remember to. No promises. So I thought I knew what was coming next, but this part was different. There was this moment in the song, the first time I heard it, when Bo sings Jeffrey, where I was just sort of hanging in the air waiting for the rest of the story. Like, I didn't know who he was singing about, or even if the song was about a real person. And then there it was. There's our subject. It's Jeff Bezos. Okay, now I know what we're doing. Then things get lyrically weird. Then there's this crazy loud synthesizer solo, then screaming, and then it's gone. I'm not exaggerating when I say that single less than a minute clip in more than an hour-long special drilled into my brain so deeply the first thing I did the following day was start cutting my extended mix. I wanted to hear more, there wasn't more available, so I figured, okay, I'll make it. That's how completely this song surprised me. Reason 2. It's short, so it can't overstay its welcome. I know, this is coming from a guy who cut together a longer remix basically just so he could listen to the song for more than 57 seconds. But really, there are a number of good comedy songs that absolutely kill in the short format, but that would fall apart if you tried to stretch them out to a 3 to 4 minute pop song. Or at the very least, a lot of listeners would get bored and tune out midway. Most of us give satirical or joke songs at least a little more leeway because we aren't only listening to the music. We're taking in the joke draped into stylings of popular music and enjoying both parts simultaneously. By making the song extremely short, Bo was able to really lean into Bezos and make it feel like part of something bigger and more fully realized than it actually is. The song is presented in the special as one verse, after an identical if instrumental intro, and then no chorus. There's a lead break or solo, which we all love, of course, and then the song abruptly cuts out amid a blown out scream. We can imagine there's more to it, but really all we have is a single slice of the story with no resolution. No matter how many times you listen, questions remain unanswered. Basically, short songs leave you wanting more and they drag you back for another listen. Unfinished songs do that twice over. Reason 3. It uses a minimal arrangement, so each part stands out. This is something I and many other artists sometimes struggle with, the impulse to add more to a song when it isn't feeling right. And look, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of times when more is the right choice. Honestly, that's pretty much my MO. I love a dense layered mix, so whenever I write a song, that's the default starting place. But sometimes when the stars align and Jeff Bezos sends that bolt of phallic inspiration straight into your brain, you can create something minimalist that feels like it needs absolutely nothing more. So let's take a look at how Bo built his arrangement for Bezos. First, you've got the drum track. It's a nice danceable 4 on the floor. Bo uses a tight focused kick, a crunchy born for the 80s snare, some subtle hi-hats to get the beat moving once the vocals kick in, and of course, the clap. It's in stereo, it's very high in the mix, and it is absolutely soaked in reverb. Next, you've got the synthesizer. Quick side note here, I don't think Bezos has a bass line to speak of, or if it's there, it's really low in the mix and it doubles the main synth in a way that makes it not stand out. So basically the synth does a lot of heavy lifting in the song, since it acts as both the bass and the main driving rhythm. It's extremely percussive, nice and plucky, strong attack. It locks into the drum track and it creates an unstoppable driving beat that carries through the song with basically no breaks for air. And I think that's a big reason why the claps are so standout, because they're the only time we get a break from the beat. Just before the lead break, we're introduced to a synth pad, which basically just fills out the mix by reinforcing the chord structure the other parts are already dancing around. The chord stabs come on strong with more top end, and they mellow out and get a bit more muffled as they fade. There's interesting stuff happening higher up in the mix, so those chords had to be present without getting in the way. I'm gonna talk more about Bo's vocals in a minute, so I won't spoil all that just yet, but they're front and center in the song because it's a comedy track after all, and the rest of the mix gets out of the way to give them the space they need. And of course, there's the solo, but I'll say more about that later too. Reason 4. So, about the solo. Hey, it's later. Let's talk about the solo. First off, volume. The lead synth in Bezos is loud. Depending on your listening environment, it might even be a little painful. I was lying in bed listening on an old Vizio TV when I first heard it. I think I actually laughed out loud to my wife when it started because it was that surprising to me. Like I said before, this is a simple song. It's short, it isn't particularly complex, and there aren't that many instruments in the stereo field. So when one of those instruments basically busts out of the mix in spectacular fashion, our ears perk up, we listen. And it's a simple solo too. 90% of the notes are just the same little hammer-on pull-off lick, but sonically those notes just soar. There's a ton of character in the patch, lots of color. Often you'll carve out space for your lead parts in your mix, so they sit well but also stand out without overwhelming the entire track. I think it's safe to say that's not what we're hearing here. So all that combines to give the solo this crazy sense of swagger and confidence. It just rolls in and lays it out. If the solo in Bezos were a person, he'd be man-spreading on the subway with his phone on speaker, volume all the way up, and he wouldn't give a shit. Oh, and something else I noticed when I was doing my Sludgefest ultra slow mix, the solo is definitely played, rather than being, say, sequenced or programmed in a tool, because the extended bit that goes over the scream falls slightly away from the beat as it progresses, so pretty cool. Reason 5. Bo's vocal performance is unique. I'll just come out and say it, the vocal delivery in this song is kinda strange, but I mean that in a good way. Bo's typical output prior to Inside was what I'd consider professional. And to be clear, I love many of his older songs, but I call them professional because to me the songs themselves feel like well-produced vehicles for comedy. His playing and singing aren't really the focus, it's what he has to say, and how his message subverts our initial expectations that are inherited from the genre. And Bo does that in Bezos as well, but he does it a little bit differently. First off, his delivery is quite monotone, at least for the first half of the verse. He loosens up a bit in the second half. This really gels with the whole robotic feel the song is creating. It's repetitive, relentlessly driving, and synthetically kinda cold. Second, the way he pronounces Bezos really jumps out at me for some reason. Bezos! It's not wrong, but it's very strangely articulated. Maybe it's the way he elongates the vowels, the O specifically. I'm honestly not quite sure, but it sticks out like in this almost alien sort of way, kinda like Jeff Bezos. A side note, at least now maybe we won't have so many people struggling to say his name. Bezos, Bezos. It's just Bezos. Third, the screams. There are 2 moments in Bezos where Bo shouts over the mix. The first is the infamous "Get 'em," which I honestly think is hilarious. Get 'em! It makes me picture Jeff as this beast foaming at the mouth, pulling at the end of a rope, just begging to be set free to eat the world. Or maybe he's on a chain. Is Jeff Bezos chain chomps? And then of course there's the final scream in the song, the very last thing you hear before the track ends. And it's pretty clear to me this was meant almost as a sort of jump scare, due to the way the predictable repeating loop of the solo is broken, just once, as the sequence extends just a little further than we expect, and then it hits. Just in your face, huge scream, then silence. So why is this song so special? Because it's catchy as hell. Because no one asked for it, or even anticipated it. It's just this little piece of something special tucked away inside a literal comedy special that I can't get enough of. Thanks for listening, guys. I'll catch you on the next upload.